Welcome to the Puppet Pit. We got folks there already. Josiah, hello. Nice to see you again. Hello, Joe. Hello, Pinecone. Hello on Owncast. Cial, nice to see you. We've got folks here. This is nice and quick. Yeah, I missed last week, but if you listen to the podcast, you'll know why. I'm not going to get into it. Stuff happened. However, stuff has not continued to happen, so I'm back. I hope you can hear me. It looks like I think you can. It might be a bit hot on the mic there. Let's turn that down a bit. There we go. You don't need me distorted. How you doing, everybody? Nice to see you folks here. So I'm starting the streams a bit earlier than usual, but that hopefully will work out for everybody. I think it's a slightly easier time for people to watch. It's only half an hour. Or actually, wait, no, an hour different. You start at 11, and now we're starting at 10. But it means that I can get lunch on time. That's the important thing, after all. So I'm having my coffee as usual, and then we're going to get to the puppets because we got stuff to do. I have a lot of stuff to do. So I hope everybody is good. You're going to notice some differences. One of the things I did while I took the week off, which I didn't really take off, I prepped some stuff. Yeah, it's nice to see you. I don't know. I've only ever seen your name written, so I don't know if it's Josiah or Hosiah. I'm not sure if the J is pronounced or not. Please do let me know if I pronounce it incorrectly. Nice to see you, JoJo Puppet Studio, nevertheless. Yeah, so I switched some stuff around. There's some cameras that are different than what you're used to, and hopefully it will work out better. There are some drawbacks, which I will illustrate when we get there, but yeah. The first one with the J. You got it, Josiah. Nice to know. Good to know. Yeah, stuff happened and continues to happen, but largely okay. I am just off today. Like I'm a bit sideways. I don't know. You take a week off and suddenly you forget how to stream. I don't know. But we got people on Owncast even, which is nice to see. We are broadcasting as always. The new normal is Twitch, YouTube, and our Owncast server and our PeerTube server. So we are fully Fediversed and will always be, because we love the Fediverse, and there may be some special stuff coming up just for the Fediverse. So you may want to get on that, but we'll see. We will see. Anyway. Puppets, huh? Yeah. Why don't I demonstrate the new camera stuff while I'm getting warmed up here? So all I really ended up doing, I realized that we were using the close-up cam way more than I ever planned to, and it wasn't a good camera for that. It was a GoPro. So all I did was I just kind of swapped around which cameras go where. So the GoPro is now the shoulder camera. I go back here. So this is now the GoPro, and I can move this around a little bit. This is kind of a bad angle. How about here? That's a little bit better. And this will just give you a broad overview. So when I'm like styling fur or something, you'll be able to see it, the whole puppet here. And this is kind of the least useful camera, I think. I got some alignment issues with the picture-in-picture. Look at that. That's not good. I thought, you think you check everything and you always miss something. Anyway, so that's where the GoPro is now. That used to be the camera that I had on the tripod mount that I could move around and do close-up stuff. But because it's a GoPro, it doesn't have focus, it doesn't have zoom. It's just a GoPro. It doesn't even have 60 frames per second even. What I did do was I moved what used to be the overhead camera, which is a Sony Handycam or something like that. Actually, no, I don't even know what brand name that is. It's a camcorder, but interestingly enough, it has a really good optical zoom. It's not very good. It's 1080-60, so it's fine. But the only thing about it is it actually has an optical zoom. It doesn't have a digital zoom. So I can demonstrate that. First of all, let's go to the top cam. This is the view we'll be seeing a lot. So now The overhead camera is what used to be the shoulder camera, and this is actually like an Elgato face cam. So although it's still just a webcam, the optics in this, the glass, the lenses are actually quite good. So this should look a bit clearer than it did before. And I think it does. And sort of the contrast is a bit better. This should just look a bit nicer than the overhead camera. Thank you, CL. Nice to know. Yeah, the angles are, I have been tinkering with this setup literally for years now, and I'm constantly changing and trying to get things a little bit better and more improved and stuff. So anyway, it's going to be a constant work in progress. So yeah, this is the view that we're usually in as I'm building and demonstrating stuff, because obviously it's the most useful. And the other one is, I gotta put my coffee down for this. And this is where it gets kind of funky and interesting, is with the close-up cam now. You see I got stuff on the table here. This is now the handy cam that has the good optical zoom. So this can be moved around, but there's a problem because it's not the cable, it's actually the socket is a bit loose. So when I move this around, the signal cuts out and I have to kind of wiggle it to get it back. And I have checked, it is not the cable, it is the socket. I would have to disassemble the camera and try and fix it. And that's a lot. And I'm not qualified to do that. So I'm going to try and move this around as little as possible. If we do have to move this around, the camera's going to cut out and I'll get it back, unfortunately. But we can't I can't jostle this too much. So do graph paper, you put gaffer tape, gaffer tape, right, on the boning for the foam bodies. Yes, we will get into that momentarily. I was going to show you, because that's one of the things we're doing, is putting some boning in the bodies. But for the close-up camera, the nice thing about this is as far away as it gets. Now check this out. We can, hopefully the camera will cut out, but we can zoom. Look at how far we can get in, and that's optical, right? So that's not a stretched digital image, that's optical. So we can get right, if I have to demonstrate a stitch or something, we can get right in there and really see it. So hopefully this will be a little bit more useful. Close up enough to make the pins look like delicious candy. It's true. It's true. Let's see if we can get it. Get up in here. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. You don't see that on anyone else's stream. Yeah, so we already had a question from Josiah. Thank you. And why don't we just get right to that, because we got stuff to do. So let's go to, I don't know, top cam, I guess. Probably be the best one for this. So here we go. We have a couple of puppet bodies here. These are Greeblies. These are going up on the shop. My standard model, don't call them Fraggles. And so in the bodies, now sometimes I don't put boning in, but I often do, depending on the foam. This foam, my regular supplier, hey, Indies Keep, nice to see you. My regular foam supplier was like, there's always supply chain issues. Ever since, some stuff never recovered from the pandemic, the thing that's still going on. But foam is one of those things that sometimes it's hard to get. And my regular supplier was out, and I desperately needed some, so I had to end up getting from a different place. And the foam they sent me was a little bit softer than I'm used to. And so in that case, I will always try and put something structural in there to kind of help the thing hold its shape. CL and Omcast, is there and Anthony's attention, because this camera is ready. It's true. It's true. We can get it right up there. So yeah, I put rings of boning in the bodies. Now these aren't glued in yet. That's one of the things we're going to be doing. We're getting right to the danger honey pretty quick, because these rings aren't glued in yet. So yes, what I do when I make a boning ring, and all the boning does is, this is a standard, you can get this at dressmaker shops or, big box stores, fabric stores, that kind of thing. And this is just plastic boning, and this doesn't even have the fabric jacket on. This is just plastic. It's kind of like a mesh. You see there, you can technically sew onto this, although it's not easy and you need a really strong needle. But what I do is I measure it out And I try and get it so it's exactly the right circumference. Now, what I usually do is I just go to lay it in there. I make it a little longer than I should, and I kind of seat it so it's just right, and then I trim it, because you don't want this, too big or too small, because if you do, it's going to distort the aperture, and you don't want that. And then so all I do is I just tape it up with a bit of gaff tape, and then we're going to contact cement this in. Right. Ryla Animations. Hello, nice to see you on YouTube. Welcome. We got folks here. People are showing up. It's good. So yeah, that's one of the things we're going to be doing to start off with. Is we got to get to the gluing, because the very first thing is, so I got the heads, I got the skulls made here. Do you ever feel like you make the entrance hole too small for the neck? Sometimes. I've had enough experience now that no, I can tell immediately, like, oh no, this is too small. And that's one of the challenges, actually. I think we mentioned this last stream a bit, but one of the challenges with particularly doing like a neck is sometimes I like a really thin neck, but the challenge then is if you don't put any foam in the neck, then the fabric will always wrinkle up, right? And that doesn't look very good. But if you do put foam in the neck, then you're adding like at least half an inch of diameter around it, and so it becomes bulky, right? And there's always a trade-off. So figure out, how thin can you make it and still allow for a human hand to pass through. It's always a bit of a challenge, but it is. After you get enough practice, you can kind of tell. And it also depends. Like if you're making a puppet for a specific individual, you can then tailor the size to them, right? I would warn against doing a neck that's too small, just because a hand, right? So it's not just about the diameter of the neck. It's not just about this. It's about allowing the hand to pass through, right? So if you do a neck that's too small, that hand is going to be constantly moving in and out of that puppet as they put it on, take it off. If you got it too small, you're going to be doing damage over time. The foam is going to get little tears in it, and over time you're going to wear this down and you're going to need to repair it. So it will last longer if you make the neck aperture big enough. It's a wear and tear thing, as well as a visual thing, right? So yes, I'm going to have excuse me, some more coffee, and then we're going to get to the gluing. That's a whole production. I got to get the mask out and the whole 9 yards. Already got the fan going in the window. I'm seeing some drop frames just visually. I'm not getting it on the data, but I'm seeing some drop frames on the camera. Let me know if you're seeing those too, because that means I got to do something. I don't know what. It ain't gonna happen during the stream, but oh boy, I gotta finish my coffee so I can take a lozenge. My throat's already. You can tell I haven't talked a lot in the few days. Last time I talked this much was the podcast. Pixels and Puppets. Search for Pixels and Puppets wherever you get your podcast. I'm trying to promote stuff. I have to promote. You don't ask, you don't get, right? Go listen to the podcast. There's a new episode of the podcast out. I talk about what happened last week that I don't have time to get into on the build stream, so you can listen to all that. And I'm trying to remember to start the streams with welcome to the Puppet Pit, because that's how the Puppet Pit section of the podcast always starts. We're getting brand synergy going, I don't know. I'm making stuff up. Making it up as I go along, as usual. All right. Let's have a lozenge so I can continue to talk. And then we will get to the gluing. The most exciting part of every build stream. The danger honey. So we're gonna do, let's get to the top cam here. We're gonna do the boning last, because this gets a bit messy, because you gotta get in there with the gloves, and the gloves can get all gummed up when I wanna do the head bit before that. This is all internal, so if I get some glue around where I shouldn't get glue, it doesn't matter. I also got a new cutting mat. The other one was finally past the point of being acceptable. I guess, you know, over time, these things get gummed up with glue and stuff happens, and they're cutting mats. So you cut stuff on them and they get divots and whatnot. So anyway, here are the skins. I'm doing a green one and a kind of orangey brown one. And so the very first thing is we got these skulls and we got these puppet skins, and these are inside out. And so we're just going to do the old gluing it and then turning it. And of course the tricky part there is to make sure that you're not getting any wrinkles on the inside of a mouth lining. Easier to do with a stiffer fabric. That's why I have been favoring felt for the inside, actually. And I know there's a whole thing with felt because people think the puppets are made out of felt. Puppets are never made out of felt. Felt is a bad material to make puppets out of. Well, puppet skins. The mouth lining, which does not need to stretch, is perfectly fine to make out of felt. And it's actually kind of good because felt has some stiffness, and so this is less likely to wrinkle. It's just quicker, I find. But that's me. Orange and brown one kind of reminds me of fall colors. Yes, very much so. Not seasonally appropriate. I wish it were. I love fall. Fall's my favorite time of year, but it's just it's one of those, like, what have I got? What fabric have I got? Okay, we'll do this. These two go together. No drops here. Okay, good. Thank you. Nice to know, CL. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. What am I doing? I'm scattered. It's fine. Everything is fine. How are you? Getting the mask. I'm gonna have to put the respirator on. That's why I got Mike on the mask, so hopefully you'll be able to understand me. And of course, the danger honey. For those of you who are new, this is industrial contact cement. This is also highly toxic. You do not want to be breathing in these fumes. That's why I wear a respirator. I've got a ventilated fan going. And gloves as well. Safety first, kids. I'm also gonna close the door. I had the door open because Jimmy, the cat, was wandering in and out, but he seems to have gone for a nap, so I'm going to close the door now. I've also got weather stripping along that door, so the aroma of the contact cement does not leach out into the rest of the apartment. Your hems are so neat. Well, I mean, you're all right. You know, this was almost all sewn on a machine. The neckline here is hand sewn, and the mouth lining is hand sewn. You know, I've been doing this for about 5 years now, professionally. I've had some practice, you know. After a while, it just becomes second nature. I do try to reuse gloves as much as possible until they are absolutely beyond the point of saving. So what I'm doing here is, because it's glue, and sometimes, you know, the cap will get kind of gummed up, but if you heat it up with a hairdryer, then you can open it. The name is actually, this is Kyle on OwnCat. The name is actually Kyle, but everyone changes it. Blame my teenage self for being into Star Wars spellings of normal names. I am with you. Yeah. All right, Kyle, thank you for letting me know. I'll try to remember that. All right, before they completely open this, I just want to make sure it can be opened, because it's time for the mask to go on now. I do have, as the regulars know, I do have another mic here. I'm going to turn this on. You should be able to hear me and understand me with the mask on. It's going to sound muffled, but at least it's better than me trying to shout. It's going to sound weird for a minute here. Hopefully that's connected. Kyle, I thought you were going to hot glue Unprofessional Assumption. They front on it in Percy Building, so maybe yes. Do not hot glue Hot glue has some uses. This is definitely not one of them. I'll give you the hot glue lecture when I'm done here. But the nice thing about contact cement, this stuff, barge particularly, is actually meant originally for shoemakers and for cobblers, and is used a lot in leather work. It's not only incredibly strong, but it's also flexible. So you can move it, and you can bend it, the things that are glued with it, as opposed to hot glue, which is really just melted plastic. So when you bend something with hot glue, it just cracks and falls off, right? So, and the reason it's called Danger Honey, we call it Danger Honey, that's our nickname for it, is because it kind of looks like honey. But it's dangerous, you get it? We're very clever. All right, here we go. Safety first, kids. Yeah, I use hot glue for plenty of stuff. This is not one of them. Okay, I'm gonna move the bodies off of the way here, just to give me a little space to work. We're gonna stick to the top cam for now. I'm gonna have to hold some of it out of the camera shot, unfortunately, just so I can work with it, but yeah, we'll get there. So the very first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take both of the heads, and I'm going to paint the glue on the inside of the mouth. You want to do a thin, even coat. You don't want to do too much. Most people, when they start out with the contact cement, they always end up using too much. Very thin, very even coat. Go light. It's better to do 2 coats than 1 thick one. I have drawn these guidelines on here, just going to help me, you know. This is about where the lining is going to go. Forgive me, I'm not looking at chat at the moment. Obviously, because I'm building puppets. It's going to happen sometimes. Now, you don't need to work quickly when you're working with this kind of industrial contact cement. This actually should dry for a bit before you actually try and stick this stuff together. So for the new folks, the way that contact cement works, the clue is in the title. It works with contact. So you apply the glue to both surfaces that you want to stick together, and you let it dry a little bit until it just gets a bit tacky. You don't want to put it on wet. So that's what we're doing. We're gonna lay in our glue on both of the skulls, then we'll do the skins one at a time. Yeah, from what I know of fursuit making, there are a lot of cross disciplines. I mean, you know, it's fabric, right? Fabric is fabric. The things that work in one discipline is going to work in the other. I mean, there's also, you know, like mascot manufacture, obviously, related disciplines. You know, a mascot suit is basically just a big puppet. It's Sweetums is, after all. All right, so we've got one thin coat on each skull. So now it gets weird because I prefer to do this without a glove on the inside, just so I can sort of feel really if there's wrinkles and stuff in there. So this glove may have to come off and on, we'll see. But see, I like to get in there. This is inside out, obviously. I like to get in there, and this way, when I'm putting it on, I can kind of feel on the inside if there's wrinkles. I will say that one of my pet peeves is getting lumped in with the furries. Well, you know, there's a lot of cross-cultural stuff there. Kyle, I presume two-part epoxy is used. Good here stuff. Two hard base suits, yeah. Always wondered how the foam base suits are. Now I know. Yep, that's exactly it. Yeah, I also use a lot of two-part epoxy for when I'm like making arm rods, for example. That's how the handle of the arm rod is held in place. I use two-part epoxy for that. It's just making stuff, right? It's just like it's these kinds of materials. And this is the way that you manipulate them. I know it's probably off camera, isn't it? Yeah, I'm sorry. I gotta get up on here a little bit more. See, I'm working like I'm just working. I'm not working on camera. The important thing here is you get all the little nooks and crannies, including around the edge. That's really important. The nooks and the crannies, both of them. Hello, Anne. Do you use graph paper when making a pattern? No, I do not. I usually freehand. I'll use like a compass or something to, you know, square things up, but no, I've never used graph paper. Graph paper is for Dungeons and Dragons. In my world. Okay, so since this glue is still a bit wet, I'm gonna hit it with a hairdryer for a little bit. And now, you know what? This might be better to do on this camera because I have to kind of get up close and do it like this, so. What I do is, see, I've got the guidelines in there, so I just kind of match this up. And I like to do the tips, the nose and the chin first. And we want to try and lay this down as evenly as possible. Going slowly and making sure there's no wrinkles in there. Feels pretty good. And I want to make sure you get it even on both sides. So you don't want, you know, a lip on one side that isn't on the other, that kind of thing. It looks all right. Feels good. Feels like there's no wrinkles in there. But once you got it to this stage where it's like eating itself, then the big turn. This is going to look terrible for a second. Don't worry, it'll work out.
What have you done to Kermit? Here we go. There's that. You may want to reseat that. Not quite as even as I would like it to be. We'll see if it's livable. I don't aim for perfection most of the time. If you got a little bit of wonkiness is fine in my books. That's not too bad. So now get in here and really not too bad. Here a nice greebly, and we got the flexible mouth plates, so we can do little Kermit crunches, you know. Make them kiss. Happy Pride. Yeah. Speaking of Pride, there's a Pride thing coming up next week. I'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, we'll go with this. Sometimes what I do now, one of the nice things about using the Danger Honey is you're not set in stone. You can take a hair dryer, warm this up, and you can pull them apart. So if you don't get it aligned quite right, you can take it apart and do it again. You don't have this isn't one and done like it would be with hot glue, for example. This you got a second chance, and believe me, I need those second chances often. This isn't bad. I'm going to stick with this. But if it got misaligned, that's what I would do. I would warm it up, pull it apart, try it again. Who knows? Maybe the second one will be like that. Let's find out. I will go back to the top cam for this. The birth of a new puppet is beautiful. That's true. It is very slightly disturbingly biological. Okay, here we go. That thing we just did, do it again. On the inside of the mouth, it's okay to go a bit heavy on the glue. And it's also okay to not have it quite as dry as you would otherwise, in case you do want to pull it apart. It's easier to do that when it's not totally dry. There we go. Da, 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 da. Kyle, or like with two-part epoxy, you mess that up and you're grinding it down with the Dremel. Yep, that is true. That's the nice thing about two-part epoxy is that's done. Yeah, it ain't going nowhere, ever. Two-part epoxy holds cars together. All right, let's see. I think that's pretty good. Make sure we get all of the edges. Hit it with a hairdryer again. Joe on YouTube, not in Atlanta. Pride for us is held in October. If we did Pride in June, the drag queens would melt. Very valid point, and I did not know that. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Actually, we're gonna go back. Moment of truth. This is always a bit nerve-wracking because sometimes this can go wrong. It's Hannah Joy. What are your thoughts on E600 glue for some puppet things? I don't even know what that is. If I did, I would tell you. I don't even know what E600 is. Okay, there we go. You gonna be nice and line up for me? Yeah, we got a little bit off center here. Let me see if we can. This is what I'm talking about. So we're gonna pull it apart and reseat it. How's that? I went too far the other way. What else is new? All right, how's that? Oh, I got a wrinkle on the bottom. I can feel it. There we go. Smooth that out. Okay, wow. See, that one was a little more challenging. E600 is mostly used in jewelry making, but it can be used in other applications. I'd say in puppet making it would be like hot glue, not something you would use for puppet getting a lot of use. Good to know. Yeah, if it's rigid, if it's hard, limited applications in puppet building. Most puppets move a lot. All right, here we go. The weird semi-birthing process. Ugh. This is going to be a bit weirder even because this is polar fleece. This doesn't stretch as much as the other stuff, which is Nylafleece. Yeah, that looks great. Let's just keep it like that. One and done. That's it. Have a holiday. Okay, that actually ended up pretty good. Yay! Got a slick profile. It's a Wookiee Greebly. Yeah, this is very Wookiee-ish. I was actually thinking about doing some smalls with this and making them very Ewok-ish, you know? But just don't call them that. Like, I gotta sell some puppets, all right? So one thing I'll often do if I'm using polar fleece instead of Nylafleece, which this is, sometimes these folds on the cheeks could be a little bit too harsh. That's not bad, but I'll put a little bit of fiber fill in there just to kind of flush this out. All right, there we go. Not too bad. Needs a little massaging, but I'll sort that out later. Also got a bunch of fur all over it. Okay, so now that we've got that done, a worm of 0 teeth, yeah. I should have taken that glove off because there's more gluing. Yeah, the boning on the bodies. Here we go. And I just realized I actually popped some stitches. Look at this. Look at this. I popped some stitches. I pulled too hard. You gotta be gentle. And I popped some stitches. That's all right. I'll turn this inside out again and just stitch it up by hand. It'll be fine. It happens. Sometimes you get a little too aggressive. Okay, so these are the two top. And since usually these are sort of unique, I want to make sure I got the right one with the right one. So let's just do one at a time. The top and the bottom are easy to tell apart because the bottom is bigger. And let's get those gloves back. You never knew this one was a problem child. Yeah. Yeah, the orange one's proving to be a bit of a challenge. That's all right. It's not like I haven't faced it before. These are harder to turn right side out, and I can't actually blow into them. I don't want to take the mask off. Here we go. We're getting it. Okay. So that means after this part, I actually do have to do some hand sew. I gotta sew up one of the arms. Indeed. I mean, you know that super secret Henson stitch you can fix a pop seam. Don't tell anybody, it's a trade secret, etc. I swear I'm going to do that video one day. Hi, it's Hannah Joy on YouTube. Right now, I'm working on building a Gobo replica from Fraggle Rock, and so far, it's so good. Excellent to know. Go to OperationPuppet.com. If you're not in the Discord already, join the Discord and put some pictures up in the build channel. We'd love to see it. It's a whole community of puppet builders. Who knew? All right, so we're just going to put some glue around where the boning is going to go. So just on the edge here. I got the Muppet Show theme stuck in my head. I wonder how that happened. On the top and the bottom. And this is how you get glue on your cutting mat. I'm demonstrating that so you don't do it. I go through a couple of cutting mats a year, easy. All right, there we go. So now we'll take the small one, which is the neck. And unfortunately, I do have to hold this one sort of close up. You see what I'm doing because of the glasses, right? And just keep, if I had room, the main Fraggles would be in my house. Oh, let me tell you. Every time I see a collector with a nice wall rack full of puppets, it doesn't actually look like that in my house. Just because I don't have the room. It does sometimes because I've got all these puppets for sale, but usually not that much. I got one small shelf behind me. You can see just, that's where the main characters of the show live, but that's it. That's all I got that I own. Everything else is for the shop. And Kermit, of course. Kyle and Oncast, is there a reason for gaff tape over duct tape? Or is that just because it's stronger than masking tape? There is a reason. Duct tape is not the best to use in something that's permanent. Um, it over time, the adhesive on duct tape will actually kind of break down and stretch. It's really it's odd. It's great for like a quick and dirty slap this thing together, but over time it's not really good. It'll degrade. Whereas gaff tape will just be there forever. Gaff tape is not plasticized like duct tape is. It's just fabric that's been impregnated with an adhesive. And so this stuff will last a lot longer. It's all about durability. Duct tape is really strong and really good like in the moment, but over time it degrades and you don't want that in a puppet. Puppet's got to stay as rugged and functional and for as long as possible. So that would be why. And yeah, masking tape isn't for anything structural. Masking tape is literally for masking. It's for, blocking off places that you don't want to get paint on, but it's designed to be taken off, right? So. Okay, back here. So I just basically decide where the back is, and I usually put one of the full seams down the center. Just kind of go, okay, so I'm going to start in the back. And then trying to keep it even. This is the thing where you can get it really wonky and uneven. So you don't want to press it together. You just kind of gotta want it seated first. So you can pull it apart. This one's being uncooperative, but it's all right. You have ways of making you cooperate. There we go. Not the tidiest, but it'll do. This is going under fur anyway, so it's fine. The rings are boning. This is just plastic dressmaker's boning. This is the kind of thing that goes in a corset. And these are structural, just to sort of pull the foam together and keep it shape. This is plastic boning. Insert your own joke here. We keep it family friendly here, or at least we try to. All except the Frankie's play streams and the podcast. That's for adults only. Just because it's harsh language. If you ever wanted to hear Kevin say the F word, you gotta listen to the podcast. It's not gonna happen on stream. Kyle, I come from the theater capacity, so the idea of gaff tape as permanent is like, yes. That's one of the reasons why it's used in the theater, is because it'll, like, people, you can walk over it and it'll still be there, right? It's hard to get up. It's very durable. So in the theater, it's often used to mark places, or it's used to tape cables down, that kind of thing. Oh, it's my meme, new follower. I forget which platform that is, so forgive me if it's on, I don't know if it's on YouTube or Twitch, but thank you. Hello. We're broadcasting to 4 different places right now, so welcome wherever you are. Indies keeps. I think we want to check later. When you are changing cameras, the audio on your mic changes. Oh. I'll bet you one of the cameras is bringing in an audio feed from somewhere. I will check that. Thank you. It's probably got the mic on the camera is probably active. Oops. I'll figure that out later. Note to self. See, you think you test everything, and there's always something. The challenging part of this is to get it all seated properly. Oh, sorry, it's not the wrong camera. Speaking of the wrong camera, there we go. Is this the one? Is it the top down? It gets weird. There we go. So there's our boning rings in one. Now we do that again. Can you get boning on Amazon? You sure can. That's where I got this. There's two types. I'll show you the other type when I'm done here. It's from the above head camera, probably picking up audio. Yeah, is it? No, doesn't seem. I don't know. It's weird because that's the only different one, but we'll see. I'll figure it out. As long as you can understand what I'm saying for the moment. Yeah, the funny thing about the new placement of the overhead camera, you can actually see it here. Okay, you can't see it there anymore. I moved the camera. I had to put, speaking of tape, see that X? See that X on the camera there? I had to put it there because I kept standing up and bumping my head on the camera. Because it's so far down now because of the type of camera it is, I had to get it closer to the surface. But I kept standing up and whacking my head on it. So I put the X on the camera so I have it in my peripheral vision and it's not just black blurring into the background. I gotta get some like orange safety tape. Hazard warning. Low-hanging fruit. It's just trying to knock some sense into me. Good luck with that, camera. Better cameras than you have tried. What's our time like? Almost an hour. All right, good. May cut this short because, like I said, after this, it's just a bunch of hand sewing. What I have noticed is the music has stopped. What's going on here? Let's see if we can get the music back. How's that? There we go. Last thing we need is an eerie silence. Go back here. All right. That's right. So I'm just running the music through VLC, and on my desktop, which is Linux, Pop OS, because I got the dark theme. It's actually kind of hard to see when the continue play button is pressed. One of those weird little UX things that, you know, because it's Linux and open source, maybe hasn't had the best quality checks. Because it's, you know, somebody doing this in their spare time. Kyle, unknown cast. Try giving it googly eyes. The problem with that, it's a good idea. The problem with that is there are so many googly eyes, well, googly-ish eyes in this room, it would blend into the background. I mean, you should see what's behind me. I don't even see fleece anymore. This is why we do this last, because you always end up getting glue on the gloves. You're always reseating how the boning sits. Does Frankie have foam in his body? He sure does. Very much like this, actually. It's just this, but a bit bigger. Interesting side note, Frankie and the Oracle are made slightly different than I make most of my shop puppets, because their head and neck are actually, the head and neck is on a neck tube, so they're actually separate pieces. I can take their head completely off, separate from the body, for maintenance, because they get used a lot. At least they used to. I had a bit of writer's block with the Oracle. That's why there hasn't been one in a while. As soon as that clears, believe me, there'll be more. Okay. Hair dryer time. And let's see, whatever I decided the back is. Nowhere near where it should be. Oh well. Doesn't really matter. A circle's a circle. That one's not bad. Finally, something went right for a change. There we go. 2 Gravely bodies. Ready for action. And that means I can take the mask off now, because we're done with the glue. Kyle, so you can give them holiday bodies if you want to dress them up for something. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why both Frank and the Oracle also, their arms can be taken off. So if I ever need to do costume changes, it makes it a lot easy. Or, not easy, nothing is easy. All right. Glad to be getting this off. Oh, it is unpleasant, but I would rather have lungs.
Turn the mic on the mask off. There we go. Should sound a little more normal now. Normal is overrated. Okay. So now what? Now it's just hand sewing. Look at this. This is what happens. I'm not camera presentable. Look. This is the sacrifices we make for our art, right? So I've got the arms here. These ones are done. I gotta stuff them yet. But I have stitched up the enclosure. These ones, the green ones, are not. I have to. Mighty Quinn, hello, nice to see you. I have to stitch these up. This is just a standard ladder stitch to close these. So I got to do that, and I got to fix the stitches that popped in the chin here. So why don't I do that first? Because that's a little more interesting, I think. Also, I really want more coffee, but I don't know if I have any more. Let's have a look in the cup here. Injured Greebly. No, a little bit more. Okay, so if I need to fix something on a puppet like this that's already been turned, just reverse the process. Just unturn it. Ooh, which is easier said than done. Fur does not like to do this. That's all right. We'll force it. That's the best thing to do, is be aggressive with your puppets. They really respond well to that. I'm kidding, they don't. Be gentle. There we go. So now that I've got it turned back inside out, I can find where the stitches went wrong. Yeah, I went too close to the side here. And I'm just gonna hand stitch up this line right here. This I can use a regular whip stitch with. Yeah, it's weird for a machine stitch to pull like that, but you know what it is because the stretch went in a weird direction on that side. I probably had the pattern misaligned or something. So it was stretching this way as opposed to this way. Oh well, I happen to have some orange thread right here. So this is the part of the show where you get to sit around and watch me hand sew. I don't want to cut it short we're just over an hour. We'll just hang out. Oh, I was gonna show Anne the two types of boning. Let's do that, because that's something that I could sit around and hand sew and listen to the podcast later. Let's look at boning. I'm sorry, look. This is what it's called. So let's go to the top cam. The type of boning I usually use for things like this, where we're just trying to hold a structure in foam, is basic plastic boning. This stuff is pretty cheap. And I know, forgive me standing up. I know you can't see, but I'm trying to get close to the camera here. So this is it. This is how it comes. This is in a spool like this, and it's just plastic. It's kind of woven. You can technically sew onto this. It's not easy, and you need a really strong needle. So I wouldn't advise trying it, because you could break the needle, and then that can hurt. But this glues really well because this is all porous. It takes glue really well. So you just take this and you get whatever size ring you need, and you just cut this with a pair of scissors and tape it together, and there's your boning ring. The other kind you can get, so this is just, I don't know, plastic boning or something. Just look for plastic boning. I don't know if I have any, actually. Let me see. But the other kind, I may have already used it. I think I used it. Yeah, I did. I used it. So there's another kind called, oh no, here is this. We got some. So this is Featherlight boning, and this is clearly made to go inside corsets. And what this is a little bit different. It's not mesh. It is actually a plastic strip inside a cloth kind of jacket like this. And the nice thing about this is, because this is a cloth jacket, you can stitch onto this, right? So you can put this in fabric and then just sew onto the fabric. So this is a good thing to use in, like, if you're doing a neck tube, you can stitch this right onto the base of the tube. So that's it. Those are the two types of boning that I use. Quarter inch boning with 1/2 inch casing. And yeah, so that's it. This is, I don't know what branding this is. Dritz. It's called Dritz. I don't know. Just look for boning. You'll find stuff you can use. Really, it's just a strip of plastic is all it is. You can use other stuff too. You can use, like, anything that's flexible plastic will work, right? I know people who also use, like, PVC tubing. It's kind of like aquarium tubing, but it's a little stiffer. I don't think I have any easily to hand. I do have some. I just think it's in a bin. But, like, I'll sometimes get stuff like this. This is close. This is like aquarium tubing, except I think this is for plumbing. This is polyurethane tubing, but it's a bit stiffer. And so if you just need to hold a shape or something, you can get some tubing like this and just kind of do that as well, right? Mighty Quinn, you can use zip ties for boating. There you go. See? Yeah, as long as it's a flexible plastic strip, it'll work. No, should I do so by hand? Is how we all start learning with fabric. It's true. It's true. All right. So there we go. There's the boating lecture. Yeah, there's lots of stuff you can use for boating. You can even make your own. Like, get like an old, cast off soda bottles or shampoo containers. Anything that's big and plastic and flexible that you can cut into a strip and make into a circle. That's all you need. You don't need to get fancy boning or anything like that. The nice thing about the actual boning that's used for fabrics is it's meant to be used for that. So you can do things like sew onto it and stuff. But if all you need is something structural, you could just find some cast off plastic and use that. Better in a puppet than in a landfill, as we often say. All right. It's hand sewing time. I still got the lines on my face from the freaking mask. Oh well. I even shaved to go on stream. I try to make myself presentable. Good luck with that. All right. Time for some hand sewing. I mean, the Mighty Quinn just joined us. I can't cut the stream short now. That would be rude. So you get to sit here to watch me head sew. Where is my small needle? There we go. Oh, so here we are making puppets. Nice to see chat active. That's good. We like that. One thing that is going to be coming up, I don't know when, it's all just when I have the time. I am going to be doing more kind of produced formal tutorial videos. I think that will be something useful and that people actually want. So if you have questions or suggestions about kind of a basic tutorial, like how do I do this stitch, or how do you do this, or how do you do that? Anything that that you would like a tutorial, video that you can come back to and refer to again and again, let me know. Give me suggestions. Like, come join the Discord or send me an email, admin@operationpuppet.com. I really should have a pop-up for that or something, but anyway. You can message me on whatever social platform you are on. I will probably see it, unless it's Facebook. In which case I will see it, just not right away. Mighty Quinn, I'm hand sewing a fur puppet hands right now too. It's a pain. Oh, let me tell you, that's how you know you're a real puppet builder, is when you start complaining about making hands. That's it, that's the initiation. Hands are always a problem. Oh, so we're just gonna kick back and do the thing. Yeah, so yeah, and I am going to, like I said, I'm trying to find things that both I like to do and that people want. But speaking of things that no one asked for that they probably don't want, I've been trying to think of something exclusive to do for the Fediverse services, like the Owncast server, Operation Puppet.live, and the PeerTube server, Puppet.zone. And I think one thing I'm going to be doing at some point in the future is under the auspices, or under the sort of branding, ugh, gross. Anyway, under the name of the podcast, Pixels and Puppets, I'm going to be doing some video game streaming, much like the Frankie Plays streams, but just as me, not as Frankie. And because that's has nothing to do with puppets, I don't expect that anybody in my sort of mainstream, YouTube and Twitch audience is going to be remotely interested in it. But that is something that I can do that's exclusive to the Fediverse services, and hopefully will be enjoyable. If you want to watch those, all you got to do is follow the Owncast or PeerTube server. All of the links are on OperationPuppet.com, as always. I don't know when. It's just something I'm kicking around, but we'll see. I'm just kind of gauging interest and trying to do the stuff people want where they want it, right? So like the Frankie Play streams, I like doing them. They're fun, but they're also not, it doesn't get anywhere near the numbers that the build streams do, for obvious reasons. The build streams are useful for people. The Frankie Play streams are just fun. Who needs that? Yeah, Kyle. Yeah, he might be into it. Sure. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I enjoy streaming, as you can tell, and I can occasionally be entertaining. But because it really has nothing to do with puppets at all. Once I'm not doing the Frankie VTuber thing, it's now completely out of the realm of puppets, right? It's still a thing I do and that I'm interested in and that I do a lot, but the audience that I've built is obviously here for the puppets. And who can blame them, obviously. But the Fediverse is a whole other, the rules are different in the Fediverse, so who knows. And would you ever make a Cookie Monster? Only for my own collection. I do not and will never sell a replica of a copyrighted character. It's just me. There's a lot of reasons for it. But much like the Kermit, I'll make it for my collection as a learning thing, but I would never take a commission to make a Cookie Monster replica. How about a live stream? The problem is because I would only be making it for me, A, that's a lot of time. It's also a lot of fabric. Cookie Monster's huge. Cookie Monster's a sack puppet, and that takes a lot of fabric. I actually have some fur that would be pretty good for Cookie Monster, but anyway. But it's really just time. The reason that I can do the build streams at all is because I'm just building the stuff that is then going up for sale in the shop. So I'm not, this is still like, you know, the shop is the only income I have. So I have to prioritize that above everything else. Otherwise I can't pay my rent. That's what the coffee link here is all about. So anytime that I spend not doing that is literally money out of my pocket, right? Which is just an unfortunate reality of it. I would love to just like do whatever you want me to do on stream. That would be great. But unfortunately, it's not financially feasible. I have to prioritize building for the shop. It's one of the reasons why I can do this right now, right? Because I'm just building the stuff. I said that already. I'm repeating myself. So yeah, because I can't sell it on the shop, I also just don't have the room. I literally, the reason I haven't made a whole bunch of puppets for my own collection is because I don't have anywhere to put them. There's this apartment is stuffed full. I have some storage space for the shop puppets, and that is it. So, and that is unlikely to change anytime in the future. So unfortunately, that seems like not possible. Now, what I will do, in fact, possibly soon, because I'm talking to a client right now who may want a sack puppet, which is very similar to Cookie Monster, and that will be a regular shop build. And so that will be at least partly done on stream. So, kind of, I guess is the answer. Believe me, I wish it were not this way, but it is. And I mean, you know, part of me wants to kind of go, you know, go full Krutinger, as it were, and just like try and really push the channel as a tutorial space. The problem is that's already been done. So it's to try and break through into that. It's already been sewn up. Like, you know, I'm never going to get the numbers that Adam Krutinger gets. So it kind of, you know, the monetization that you would get from that is so puny and little that I really just cannot spend the time. As much as I would like to, and I would like to. It's just not in the cards. I wish. Shop comes first and everything else has to come second. All right, where are we at here? I don't want to go too far. I just want to get the stuff that, oh, I'm gonna have to do the whole length. Oh well. Oh well, that's life. I love that middle mouth shape holder. Metal mouth shape holder. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Do I have a middle mouth shape holder? I gotta rethread my thread. Indies Keep, well, health, 1 health, 2 shop, 3 everything. Yes, true. And I think you're a wonderful job explaining everything step by step. Thank you. Yeah, I enjoy doing it, and I think I have a degree of aptitude for it. So I am actually absolutely going to do that. And the thing is, if they're produced videos rather than a live stream, I can plan it out, I can script it, I can shoot it, I can edit it, but then it'll just be there. And that's kind of the reason why I want to do them, is because, you know, we keep getting the same questions. And so it would be just nice to kind of go, that question's been answered, watch this video, right? Because everything else is already, like, it's in the live stream archive somewhere. And I've tried to kind of sort things out and put them in playlists that seem logical, but it's still, you're still hunting around for a specific question, right? If I do short, discrete videos that are produced for a specific question, that makes the whole thing much easier to just kind of mentally index, right? So I think that'll be more useful for people in the long run. It's another one of those, put a pin in it, it's on the list. Speaking of Pewdie is faster to make slimy, like the worm puppets. Funny you should ask, Kyle. That was a previous job quite recently, last month or two. I made some puppets for a rather large YouTube channel, SciShow Kids. And I'm pretty sure they haven't debuted yet. They got to shoot some new stuff. But one of them was a worm puppet, very much like Slimy on Sesame Street. There's a rod puppet with 2 rods on either end. Juniper is the name of the character. So if you go to my Instagram, there should be, at one of the more recent photo shoots, we'll have Juniper up there. OperationPuppet.com for all the links, etc., etc. I took off the banner from the top that had all the PeerTube and the OwnCast server up there, because I thought it was overkill, but I really need to replace that with just OperationPuppet.com, because that's where everything is, right? You can find all the links up there. Oh, perhaps I think I'm seeing the black felt through the white foam. Oh, right. Looks metallic inside the puppet's mouth. Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh no, you're right. Is that what you're talking about in there? That is. Oh, I should have. Oh, I actually have some. So when I do through flexible mouth plates like this, so you do the Kermity style mouth plates, I actually 3D print them in TPU. So these are from a previous build. These are actually from the SciShow Kids build. These are for the ducks. I made a couple of duck puppets as well. So this is a TPU 3D printed mouth plate. And the thing about TPU, it's a filament, is that it's rubbery, it's flexible, right? It's also semi-transparent, right? So that is what you're seeing. You're seeing the black felt through the semi-transparent TPU mouth plate. That's what you're seeing. Now we know. Indiescape, I haven't seen them yet, but I think they're still posting stuff that was pre-recorded. Yeah, they had a big shoot just as I was making the puppets, and we were kind of racing the clock, hoping to get the puppets done for that shoot, but it just didn't. It was too big of an ask. It was literally like a week later, and it was just, you know, prototyping and all that stuff took longer, as it always does, than we had. So the next time they do a big shoot, they're going to be debuting the new puppets. So that will be Bill and Webb the ducks and Juniper the worm on SciShow Kids, the YouTube channel. Yeah, Kyle, I only relatively recently, like within the past year, I've been experimenting with 3D printing stuff, thanks to Indies Keep, who's on the YouTube chat right now, Operation Puppet community member, who actually traded a puppet for a 3D printer that they weren't using. which was super nice. It's been my first experimenting with 3D printing, and it's going really well. I 3D print a lot of stuff now, including, I'll hear something. This is for Kyle. Y'all, the rest of you, actually, you guys haven't seen the finished product of the last puppet we worked on stream, and it's still here. I haven't listed it yet, so hang on, we can get that down. That'll be some fun, rather than sitting around watching me do this. So, y'all remember, I hope, the Grouch? The Grouch? Oh, let's see here. Get it down without knocking stuff over. Here we go. So speaking of 3D printing, the eyebrow rig that's in this is all 3D printed. So, let's get it all set up here. Rattle, rattle. Just gotta feel it, man. Just gotta. There we go. Hello. We got arm rods here, and oh, she's good. I don't know what kind of voice it should have, but you know, that's not for me to decide. That's for whoever ends up owning this. Don't call it a Grouch. Might be a big Grouchy, but it's not a Grouch. So I had to do the nose, and I had to do the orange arms just to make sure it wasn't overly Oscar-y, right? But there we go. Yeah, there's some 3D printing right there. So both the mouth plate and the eyebrow rig are all 3D printed. But hand stitching is calming. I know, people keep saying it's like it's just a nice chill thing, and it's like what I'd like to do is. Are you ready to go back now? So there we go. There's the finished puppet from the last stream. And this is also, speaking of boning, this has got some boning in. It's easy to see this. This body insert right here is exactly the same as this, slightly different pattern, but same process, boning, the whole 9 yards. But this is how it holds its shape, and it's also, because of that, because it's just foam and boning, it's really, really light. That's the other thing you have to remember is make your puppets light. I was about to say something and then it completely slipped my brain. 3D printing. Nope, it's gone. Oh well. Yeah, Kyle's new. This is old hat stuff for everybody else who's been around here for a while. This is right. The hand sewing is calming. What I would like to do, that's what we're starting to talk about, is get a proper close-up cam, so when I am hand stitching, you can actually see what I'm doing, so it'll be a bit more instructive for people. It's really hard. Like for me to hand stitch this in front of the actual close-up cam is like I got to get over here and hunch over. This would end up being a terrible job if I tried to do this on camera as closely as it needs to be to see what it is, right? So unfortunately, this is it for when I'm hand sewing, but thank you, Kyle. Nice to have the compliment. I am pretty happy with it. That one turned out pretty good. And so, Kyle, if you haven't seen the rest of my stuff, you can go to the you're in the Owncast. You can go to puppet.zone. That's our PeerTube server, since you are in the Fediverse. There's lots of stuff there. For my builds, the primary thing you want to be looking at is the second season onward of the Oracle. The first season was all builds not by me, and then during the second season was when I decided to change them all to my own builds and redesign them and stuff. So there's a lot of my builds on the Oracle. All the new quick vlogs that are going up are all my characters as well. If you like that Grouchy character, you'll like Frankie. Maybe I should get Frankie down to say hi. We'll probably end momentarily. I'm gonna finish this scene. We'll get Frankie down, say hi to Kyle, and then I think we'll probably call it a stream. Okay, the music is still going. It's hard for me to hear because, oh, you know what? I can turn the fan off now. I don't need the fan on anymore. The glue has been away for a while. All the fumes are cleared out. Let me just stand up here for a second and turn the fan. I see the green tape on the camera worked. I didn't bump my head that time. Oh, much better. It's so much nicer in here now. I don't think you can hear it, but I sure can. There's so much white noise in here when I've got the ventilation fan going and I've got the 3D printer running. This is a very, very small room. This is a 7-foot by 11-foot room, crammed full of stuff. So I literally got like inches to move here, and that much noise in that small a space, let me tell you. Not that I'm complaining, I'm lucky to have it. Not everybody has the ability to have a dedicated room just for this kind of thing, which mercifully I do. Yet another reason why I can run the shop. Okay, we're almost done here. I'm not going to turn it until I double check this. I want to make sure it's good. Being on stream is always a bit distracting, so. Okay. So that's that. Let's get Frankie down. I am trying to perform more. I hardly ever get a chance to perform. That's one of the reasons why the quick vlogs exist now, is to just give me an excuse to do more performing. Because I am way out of practice. And here we go, Kyle. This is one of my main characters. Probably the one that's the closest to living in my brain constantly. This is Frankie. Frankie's a troll who specializes in video production and IT. Hey, how you doing? It's Frankie. What do we got going on here? Let's see. Oh yeah, the old cast. Hey, we love the Fediverse around here. So congratulations. You're very cool if you're on the Fediverse. That's what we say around here. Hey, Slugfan, how you doing? Nice to see everybody. I'm reading chat. Yeah, I'm not a ventriloquist. I don't know if you could notice. What are you talking about? Anyway, so there's Frankie. Are you ever gonna fix my hand? It's a different color. I don't know if y'all noticed. Look, it's a different color than my stomach and ears. That's not good. I don't know why you did that. It's a long story. Anyway. There's Frankie. You've met Frankie now. Now you know you're beginning to get to know the family. Okay. You know what, folks? I think that'll do it for today. I am now covered in Frankie fur, of course. What else is new? There he is, Frankie from all the vids. Good, you do know Frankie. Yeah, I never really intended Frankie to be like the standout character. When I started with the Oracle, I thought the Oracle was going to be the one, but it turns out the characters have other ideas. The characters, you just got to follow where they lead you. And that's where Frankie led me. Frankie's just in my brain all the time. You look fine to me, Frankie. I don't care about your head. Thank you. Very nice to say. All right, folks. I am going to wrap it up now because I just got more head sewing and then I got to do other stuff and then have lunch because we're getting pretty close. So anyway, Thank you, everybody. Very, very active, very lively chat today. I like it a lot. I love the fact that we had Owncast representing in the house, as the kids say. Cantankerous characters are fun. It's true. It really is true. Well, it's like I've said before. Frankie, if you were looking at it from Freudian analysis, Frankie is just my super ego. Frankie is the one who's looking over my shoulder and criticizing everything I do. So anyway, yeah, next week. Oh, right, next week. Here's what we should talk about. Every year, for those of you who are new, every year I do a build that is specially themed for Pride Month. And the proceeds from the sale of that puppet always go to an appropriate charity. I think this time around it's going to be mermaids. We've done the Trevor Project and Trans Lifeline before. This year I think it's going to be mermaids in the UK. And so that'll be next week. Still, I'm pretty sure I know what it's going to be, but I'm not going to announce it until we get there. So that'll be part of next week's build stream, is doing some of the charity Pride builds. So there we go. Happy Pride, everybody. I am going to go now and have some lunch. Have a good rest of your day. This weekend, I'll probably be doing some streaming of some sort, video game wise. We'll see if it's Frankie or if it's just me, but we'll see. Anyway, have a good rest of your day and a good rest of your week. If I don't see you till next week, enjoy.